Hey, this is the philcarew.com show. We are welcome. I'd like to welcome you guys to a great friend and a actual guy who's been in the basketball industry for quite some time, and he's got his own brand called Lowkey Baller. Ayo,
Hi.
this is hello. How you doing? Firstly, just to introduce you, everyone.
Yeah, I'm good, thank you.
So, what you've been doing with yourself, with your branding? I've noticed you've got the Lowkey Baller logo behind you.
We've got the logo behind us because branding is very important. I was literally just talking to someone about sponsorship opportunities literally just today. So we're always putting some work into the brand.
Oh, fantastic. So what I'd like to also ask you, as it's also our first ever interview, and I'm honored having you on the philcarew.com show. How long have you been in the branding business, and what inspired you to take on your own brand for Lowkey as Lowkey Ballers?
So basically, I think it's been going 5 years now that I've been doing Lowkey Ballers. The brand actually started when I was in uni because I love basketball and I was given the opportunity to play with the university basketball team. So we started playing and we used to play basketball literally like every day. So I just thought to myself, well, there's loads of brands like that's targeted towards these young fit guys because obviously that's what they do, but there's not really anything for anyone else. Because me, I'm a big guy. Like I don't fit the conventional idea of a basketball player. So I thought, let me create something that's for the people that don't fit that conventional idea of a basketball player, i.e. people that are overweight like myself, some disabled people, some older people, even short guys as well. They don't really fit the ideal image of a basketball player. So that's where the idea of Lowkey Ballers came in. So at first it was just in name, but because I studied business studies when I was in high school, I decided to create a brand. And the brand, actually, I've got the notebook that I used. You might not be able to see it properly, but this is how it started, just with these ideas.
Wow.
This is how it started, yeah.
Oh,
so I drew this up, yeah. I drew this up, and then I decided to get on Canva, obviously, not Canva, sorry, on Fiverr.
Okay.
And get someone to create that for me.
Of course.
Yeah, so that's how that became that, and that's how Lowkey Baller started.
Oh, that's amazing. So what would you say for anyone out there that want to start off with having their own brand and on how to get started? Because I know there's a lot of there's people out there where they're in work, they're stuck in the rut, they're not quite sure what to do, and they've got an idea. And what would you say to give some advice to those out there that would want to start something?
I would say, first of all, every time you have an idea about the brand or the business that you want to create, you should always write it down. Sorry.
That's okay.
You should always
busy man.
Yeah, no. When you have ideas about things you want to create, you always got to write it down, because that way you can always come back to it later. Because sometimes you might have a good idea and not write it down, and then you could just forget. And you also have an image as well of the thing that you want to create, because as people, we're very influenced by images, and that's the way branding works. Basically, it's just based on images. So you create the image, you think about the image that you want to create, and you write it down, you make some notes, and then if you're not sure if you don't have any art skills, or you don't know how to create it yourself, then obviously there's services that can help you to create it. Like for example, on Fiverr, you can always find illustrators to create the images that you want to create. So you've got to be, how can I say, you've got to be willing to push yourself really, and not be held back by a certain type of fear. Like
course.
sometimes when people want to start something, they have a certain type of fear of failure that
Yes.
that holds them back. You've just got to get yourself out there, really.
No, that's really good advice. Really good advice. Thanks, Ayo. And the other thing is as well, I've noticed with myself, I've got a little confession to make with things. It's more of not giving up, isn't it? Because
Yeah.
with things where you get obstacles, what would you say to those where it could be like a financial thing? Would it also be the right people who to ask? Because sometimes it's the fear of who to ask. Because if you've got an idea, someone else. Because I've felt this as well, and this is no fault of anyone as well either. You fear that, oh, you've got a good idea, and then you think, hold on a minute, I've spoken to someone. There's no harm in sharing it, but I think it's more of who you share it with
Yeah.
and how you go about it. What would you say in terms of that?
Two things about that. First of all, it takes time. You have to take time. Sometimes you might not be in the right position to launch that idea at that time, but with time there will be a specific point where you're in a better position to do that. So for example, when it comes to creating the brand, obviously you have to pay for it. If you
Of
don't
course.
have those funds at the time, then obviously you have to delay that until you do have the funds.
Okay.
And with the second thing, it's all about being around the right people.
Yes.
You have to be able to build a community around yourself of people that, first of all, share the same interests as you, and people that you feel that you can trust. Obviously, trust is not something that you just give to anyone. Trust has to be earned. You have to be able to know that person. So that's where time comes in again, because you have to have built a relationship with that person to
Yes,
the
I
point
agree.
where you trust them with your idea, if you know what I mean. So sharing ideas is definitely a good thing, but you have to know and you have to trust the people that you share those ideas with.
No, I totally agree with that. And how would you go in terms of, I know with branding, um, when it comes to like also with suppliers, how would, in terms of that, how have you overcome things like that? Because sometimes, there might be certain things that they might not have. Do you have more than one supplier, that can do things with, like,
Okay.
for example, if you have a certain material, or like if
Yeah.
a particular apparel, like a t-shirt or a hoodie, how, is there anything like that you could give advice to? Because sometimes they if you have one supplier, do you have more than one, or is it just, do you just stick to one, and you feel reassured that they're going to have a particular
Mm.
amount of stock?
That's a good point. With suppliers, in my experience, because I used to use Shopify,
Right.
what they do is they have different they have a number of different suppliers that they can get in touch with. So for example, there's different companies that they all do like the printing service.
Okay.
Um, it allows you to choose one for that specific order, but they'll let you know if they don't have your stock in they don't have your product in stock. So
Okay.
what you have the option to do is to choose a different supplier. So I guess it is beneficial to know more than one supplier, just in case they don't have the stock that you require.
Oh, brilliant. And how, and when it comes to, so I know some people, because there's a lot of competition when it comes to certain things. Like, because I know, like, for example, you've got like, and I'm just going by example here. You, like, for example, if you were like a coffee shop, and because obviously you've got your own apparel, with that,
Yeah.
how do you deal with, because obviously yours is different and it's unique, and you're sending out a different message. How do you keep yourself going where you get some, I know I've even noticed it myself with some branding, they will have a branding and like, they're doing the same thing. You think, well, yeah, but what makes you different? What
Mm,
makes you different, and what keeps you going? And
yeah.
what motivates you? That's what I'd like to ask. What keeps you going? Because you do. get some businesses where they'll have something, they've got a few suppliers come in, and I think, well, what's the message and what's the deal with it? You know, how do I keep going without having to feel like I'm going to give up? Because you do get some people where they think, oh, this isn't for me, you know, and then they realize they've still got a good idea. It's a shame, you know. You get some people where they've stopped and think, I won't go with that anymore. I've only had, I've done it for a week, I've done it for a month, you know, and you've been doing it for 5 years. So, you know, what would you say to those that have sort of either starting or going in the middle of their business?
I would say it's got to be something that you love. Like, if it's something that you love, then you're more likely to stick with it. I mean, people do have ideas. Oh, I've got a good business idea. At the time, it could be a good business idea, but if it's not something that you love, then you're not as motivated to stick with it. That's when ideas die and people don't tend to carry on. But if it's something that you love, then you're always gonna want to put work into it, if you know what I mean. Like,
of course, yeah.
For me, for example, during COVID, and everything was shut down, you know, I could have easily said, oh, you know what, I don't want to do this anymore. And there actually was a point where I wasn't doing anything, like wasn't doing any social media posts or wasn't doing any basketball sessions or anything like that. But I picked it up again because it's what I love. I love to play basketball, and I have certain goals for what I want my life to be in the future. And in the future, I want this brand to be a part of my life, if you know what I mean. So because I love it, I'm gonna carry on. That's how I've been able to do it for 5 years so far.
No, I appreciate that, and I must say, folks, it's been a long time coming, but I really appreciate, and I've been really patient, and even I really appreciate Ayo coming on, because we're behind the scenes. We've actually been talking. Oh my goodness, this is off the cuff now, on the record, off the records, guys. I know this is an interview, but this is exclusive, and this is the first as well what we're doing, but this will be leading into a podcast. So our plans of Ayo and I, this is going to be a long-term thing. It's not just about branding, so watch out for this. What we've actually we were talking about, we were in a restaurant. We first met when we first met. It was over Facebook, wasn't it, Ayo? Remember? And we went to, which one was it? I'm trying to remember now which the restaurant it was. I know it's to do with chicken.
We went to
Nando's. That's the one, bro. Nando's. Yeah. Oh, Nando's. It was so lush. The chicken. Oh my goodness. Thank you for that. That was lovely, guys. Oh yeah. We're not trying to put all the brands in, but we have to mention where we were.
This video is not sponsored by Nando's or anything.
No. But anyway, guys, you know, everything helps, doesn't it? You know, when the things, who knows, this could help us a long way, long term. They go, oh look, they mentioned us.
Yeah. For money at us if they want to.
Yeah, exactly. We don't mind. Get some sponsorship from Nando's. Exactly. We don't mind. Get some extra chicken for a year or something, you know. Oh yeah, no. It's on that note, guys. Seriously, it'd be great to have a lot more things. What we will do is not just comment on this, because we're planning to have more material come in and more content. So the reason why we're on here, it's because it's our first and an inclusive, not just podcast, but also first interview of the show. And I'm truly honored that Ayo is part of this, because this is like a pilot of things, of many things to come. I really appreciate this, Ayo. And the other things that we've got, because this is a very chilled show, and it's not all entirely, what's the best way of putting it? Shall I say, more formal. It's less...
so it's not like completely like serious kind of like
exactly. Because if we're too right, what have you been doing today, Mr. Ayo? I saw you down the street playing ball with your hoodie up.
Yeah.
Nah, yeah. Well, guys, seriously, this is all a bit of fun, and I'm glad, it's very chilled and relaxed. The other things, I know we're still recording because this is part of this is raw. Now, with basketball as well, what are your plans with that as well as your branding? Have you got any plans, or have you been doing anything recently or wanting to do with basketball as well as your branding and your business?
Yeah, well, like I said, because I want the brand to be a part of my life in the future, and I want basketball to be a big part of my life in the future. I'm always putting work in. So, for example, today I was talking to a company about sponsorship, and I'm trying to learn how to approach sponsors, how to be able to show sponsors that I'm a brand worth investing in.
Of
So I'm
course.
trying to learn that whole side of it right now.
Yeah.
I'm also always trying to build a community. Even on LinkedIn now, I've been trying to build a community of basketball players, basketball lovers, um, people that are just interested in basketball in general.
Of
Um,
course.
so that's what we've been doing behind the scenes. Um, Originally, we were doing basketball sessions like every week. Like you would
Of
know,
course.
we used to play basketball like every week back when I was in uni. But we haven't been doing any sessions as of late. So that's what I want to do. I want to start those sessions up again. Eventually, what I want to do is I want to be able to provide free basketball sessions for the local community, even people outside the local community as well. They can come down and play for free. That's my goal. That's why I want to get sponsorship, because I don't want my community to have to pay out of their own pocket.
Of course.
So we might as well get these companies to pay for these sessions.
No, that's a good
And
idea.
obviously, yeah, obviously we'll reciprocate in terms of like maybe advertising, or maybe just putting their brand on some of our social media,
Yeah.
and also trying to convince our community to use their brand, or to use their service basically. So, for example, let's say with the whole Nando's thing, let's say we did get Nando's as a sponsor and they were paying for our sessions, I would be able to provide free basketball sessions for not just kids but adults as well. Even people that play wheelchair basketball, they can come down and play for free, and we will convince them to, anytime you want to get something to eat, to go down to Nando's, and that would be the exchange that we
That's a
that
good
we
idea.
yeah,
Well,
that's the
who
goal.
knows? Who knows what sponsors might be listening or watching this when we put this out there? Because this,
Yeah,
like I said, folks, you don't know. It's not always what you know; it's who you know.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Who you know definitely goes far. That's where the community comes in. That's why it's better to have a large community of people that love the the thing that you love as well.
Of course, yeah,
For example, people that play basketball, it doesn't have to be a big company. It doesn't have to be a big company. It can be like maybe someone owns a garage or something, and they put a few hundred in every month, and then we convince the people that come down to use that garage every time they have issues with their car. That's how it works, or that's how it hopefully will work.
the other thing is as well as this being a podcast or even as an interview, how would you see yourself in the foreseeable future in terms of like fundraising, charity events, being on the radio, even other things like linked with um, other events that could possibly lead into sort of helping out not just the community, but even on a bigger scale? What would you say
Yeah.
in regards to that? Oh yeah,
On a bigger scale, to be honest, for me personally, I know this brand is gonna do well. It's gonna become something big. But for me, I just want to play basketball every day. That's just
yeah,
what I would love to do. But with the brand, sometimes it takes on a mind of its own, because not only would I want to be playing basketball every day, but the brand, it can also help people out. It can increase participation in basketball. with the community. It could help the community out in certain ways, if you know what I mean.
Mm.
Where there's me that I just want to be playing basketball, the brand itself, it could like it could do more than just help me to play basketball every day. It could do more in terms of like providing um links to sponsors to help the community out.
Of course,
We
yeah.
could also, yeah, we could also help youngsters that want to become basketball players. We could also help them out, with training sessions. We could also link them with coaches, because not everyone is going to want to coach. Sometimes
True.
I'm thinking about it, but I can the brand itself, it can link those players to established coaches, if you know what I mean.
Yes.
Like, let's say there's a kid, he's 17 and he wants to become a basketball player, but he doesn't know where to go to school, like that would help him to be able to pursue that goal. He would come to me and I would say, oh well, I know this coach at this college or whatever, and
Of course.
he's looking for players, and I will be able to facilitate that and help them to be able to, be in a better position to achieve their goals.
Oh yeah, no, that's good. That's a good idea actually, Ayo. Now you mentioning that, what do you think in terms of the idea of now sort of expanding on that, being able to, for us to see, what do you think, or what would be on your list of guests for me to speak to? Because
Oh,
they'd be great. The coaches or anything like that, or even teams, because we've
yeah, I
spoken about
mean,
this before, haven't we?
yeah, with your podcast, I think you definitely have a lot of potential with your podcast, because there's loads of people that you could talk to, not just basketball coaches, but people who want to play basketball. You could also talk to people, other brand owners as well, because obviously in the UK, there's a lot of basketball events that go up. You might have heard of Ball Out. You might have heard of like GG3x3. Those are two brands that you can approach to talk to. Obviously, they have a lot of experience. They have a lot of knowledge about UK basketball. Um, there's also people that are as knowledgeable, but not as how can I say, they're not as well known. Like, you can have some basketball OGs that play in
Okay.
a local community that no one really knows, but they know a lot about basketball and they have a lot of knowledge to impart to the
Yes.
younger basketball players. So yeah, you definitely have a lot of potential with your podcast.
No, I appreciate that, Ayo, because like what I'm looking forward to is to be able to also give that level of exposure for those, not just for branding. This is why I mentioned this. This is why really important for me to put this out there, as this has been recorded. In the foreseeable future, I would like to see where this can lead for those that would like to have that level of exposure. Because, like you mentioned, branding, there's other
Yeah,
people out there where they have little wins. It may not be like a world championship. It might even be like a local team. I
yeah,
could local teams. People that have done well. Within, like, for example, topics of mental health. I'm a mental health advocate. With things like that and other different things, because that leads to sport. It's links to sport, links to fitness, links to things that your passion. It doesn't even, like
yeah.
you mentioned, doesn't even have to be basketball, but it's just
Mhm.
something I'm passionate about as well.
Yeah.
And just to make sure, I have one of your hoodies. Yeah, Lowkey baller.
Of course, yeah, man.
Oh yeah, bro.
Right.
Oh yeah. I can't not put that on there. Come on. So, what
Thank
would
you.
you say as well, just to try and sort of mentioned all the rest of the bits and pieces with in regards to Lowkey baller?
Hmm.
How would anybody get in contact with you in regards to wanting to have one of these lovely beauties here that I've got a hoodie of your Lowkey baller, or any apparel stuff that they want, if they wanted to get hold of you or wanted to order anything?
Well, we are on Facebook and Instagram. Facebook is at Lowkey Ballers, and Instagram is at Lowkey_Ballers_official. So you can always just send me a message. I'm about to open an Instagram store,
Okay.
but also I just connected with a new supplier. It's called Team Fire Attire,
Okay.
and he actually does some really, really good quality products in terms of like shooting tops, hoodies, t-shirts. So I probably will send you something new in a little bit. But
Hey.
yeah, for sure. He just had a website come out, and he's obviously our official stockist now. So you could always get Lowkey Baller gear on his website. Um, if you give me a second, I'll try and get the website up for you.
No problem. While you're looking that up, what I'd like to ask you as well, what is it that you do? Because I'd like to ask this, because not just yourself, but in up and coming, not just a podcast, but interviews, is what is it that you do in terms on do you have like a ritual thing? What do you do in the mornings? Do you have a coffee? Do you have like a little routine going, or are you sort of an easygoing, sort of like, nope, I'm going to do this when I get up? What type of person are you?
To be honest, for me, it fluctuates, because sometimes I could be like, oh yeah, in this morning, I need to get this done. I need to get this done. I need to get this done. But sometimes, I can just be like, you know what, I'm just gonna do whatever I feel like. But it's always important to have goals of what you want to achieve in the morning, so that throughout the day you try and get as much done as possible. So for example, today obviously we had this call, and I had a sponsorship call as well. So I was like, oh, I need to get ready for those. I had to get that out of storage so that I can show it on this call. So there's definitely always some things that you want to achieve. So I think it's better to have that in mind in the morning. That's always a good thing. When you get up, you get ready, you think to yourself, what do I need to achieve this morning? And then you try and bang it out.
Oh, brilliant. And just to wrap things up, guys, I want to ask Ayo something. This is going to be brilliant. Would you agree that if in the up and coming sort of interviews and podcasts, would it be possible that we could run something great like a competition to win some things, maybe even sort of go into something, maybe even with us one day, to be able to sort of see what we do, why are we doing it, and because sometimes some people, it's all put on show, but this is all the real deal. This is real. This isn't acting. This is fresh. This is raw. And like you and I are, nobody realizes that this is not just being recorded. The reason why we're doing this, it's because it's raw and it's fresh and it's informal. So it's relaxed, guys. So this isn't all scripted. I'm not looking down. Oh, what questions have I got? Oh, hang on a minute. Let me have a look at my phone. No, what questions am I going to ask? No. This is all raw and off the cuff. And that's the way we like it. And it's so chilled because we don't have to feel there's any pressure about, women and arming and what shall I say next and what shall I do next? What shall I ask? It's all chilled. So I hope you've been enjoying the show. The other thing is as well, before you go, Ayo, is what would you give non-lasting advice for anybody out there where they're branding for anything that they've got, in terms of like who they would ask for, in terms of like if they were like rebranding, for example, even if they've not just fresh, but if they wanted to start afresh, what would you say in terms of they've already got a business and they want to rebrand, and how would they go about it and what to ask? Because I know a lot of people, they might think, oh yeah, I've got some money, I'll just ask someone the first thing that comes up, what would you advise? Because you do get some people where they may have a business and they think, hang on a minute, I've got a different concept. I want to rebrand and I've got a new concept. What would you say for that?
If it's like a small business owner, I would say, first of all, if you wanted to change your brand, first of all, think about the community that you're in, and think about the values of the community that you're in. So for example, sometimes different like boroughs or different cities, they have a specific logo that they use for that city. So think about not incorporating that logo, but certain things about it, if you know what I mean. So
Mm.
for example, I don't know, one could have like a stag or something like that. Just for example, like a deer, you know,
Of
with the
course,
antlers and stuff.
antlers,
Um,
yeah.
you might want to think about incorporating something like that in the new brand, because it would show that you are part of that community, if you know what I mean.
Of
So
course, yeah.
because people where they live, they have a certain type of loyalty towards where they live.
Of course,
And
yeah.
if they see that, like let's say it's even if it's like, I don't know, a library or a restaurant, even if they showed that that brand has a certain type of loyalty towards that community, then they tend to have a certain type of loyalty towards that brand, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
So
brilliant. Yeah,
think about what community you're in, see how you can incorporate that into your brand, and also think about how you can create that brand within that community. So
yeah,
if you have certain, like an illustrator within the community that you can approach,
sure.
rather than a faceless entity on the internet, if you have someone local that you can approach to create that brand for you, that would obviously get you some more brand loyalty from the community that you're in as well. Um, yeah, I would say try and do that first of all.
Oh,
I
that's
think
great
that's the best way
advice.
to go about it.
Yeah, no, thank you for that, Ayo. Right, guests for the future. What would you think would be great to join? Who would be great to join us, Ayo? That's what I'd like to ask.
Who?
In mind for yourself, because I think it'd be great.
I would say, because we're starting out, it would be awesome to approach some real UK basketball um personalities. Like for example, you've got awesome basketball players like Andrew Wilding, you've got Tyrone
Yeah, Mr.
Walker,
Wilding. Yeah,
yeah,
bro. I wouldn't mind having him as a
you've
guest.
got Laszlo the Trickstar, people like that. They would be awesome guests to have on the show, because
Yeah.
these guys, not only do they have awesome basketball skill, but they are active. They always, like, at basketball events and stuff like that. They would know a lot about UK basketball as well. So they would be awesome people to have on the pod as well.
You know what? I can't wait for this, bro. This is gonna go out because like I remember, I was talking to you about that. I did contact Andrew, and I can't
Yeah.
wait to actually contact him again. So I'll have to
Yeah.
get some confirmation when we can do this. So yeah, look out for this, folks. Well, hopefully we'll be able to see and hear from Mr. Andrew Wilding. Oh my goodness, man, it's been a while. I remember the first time I got on the court, and I've seen some skills,
Yeah,
folks.
he's awesome, isn't he?
He's got some skills. He's not only just a world record holder, Guinness
Yeah,
Book of Records.
yeah.
Seriously, oh my goodness, man, this guy has got some mad skills, bro.
He really does.
All right, thank you very much, bro. Much
Nice one,
love
bro.
as
Thank you
usual,
so much.
and as always, a pleasure. We'll wrap this up, folks, and we'll hope to hear from not just Ayo, but some other guests in the near and foreseeable future.
Nice
Take
one.
care for now. Bye for
Bye.
now. Oh, bro, that was amazing.
That was cool, bro. That was
Yeah.